The sun beats down on the vast golden plains of the Serengeti. A herd of gazelles moves gracefully, their delicate hooves barely disturbing the dust. They are a picture of peace, their senses tuned to the gentle sounds of the wind rustling through the dry grass. But they are not alone. Hidden in the tall grass, a lioness lies perfectly still. Her powerful muscles are coiled, her gaze fixed on a young gazelle that has strayed a little too far from the safety of the group. Every part of her being is focused on this single, crucial moment. She is a predator, and her very survival, and that of her cubs, depends on the success of this hunt. It is a scene that has played out countless times over millions of years, a fundamental drama of life and death. Suddenly, the stillness is shattered. The lioness explodes from her cover, a blur of tawny fur and raw power. The gazelles scatter in a panic, their momentary peace replaced by sheer terror. The young gazelle, the target of this deadly pursuit, runs for its life. Its heart pounds furiously, its lungs burn, and every fiber of its being is screaming for it to escape. But the lioness is relentless. She is faster, stronger, and driven by a primal hunger. The chase is short but brutal. With a final desperate leap, she brings the gazelle down. The struggle begins, a fight for life against the inevitable. It is a difficult sight to witness, yet it is an essential part of the natural world's intricate design. The question that arises in our minds as we watch such an event is a profound one. What does the gazelle feel in these final, terrifying moments? Is it overwhelmed by pain, or does nature provide some form of mercy? The struggle is violent, and the outcome is certain. The gazelle's body is torn, its life slipping away with every passing second. To our human sensibilities, it appears to be an experience of unimaginable agony. We project our own understanding of pain and fear onto the scene, imagining the sharp teeth and the tearing claws. It is a raw, unfiltered moment of survival stripped of any sentimentality. Understanding this moment requires us to look beyond our own emotions. We must delve into the biology of both the hunter and the hunted. We need to explore the complex systems that govern their actions and reactions. The lioness is not acting out of malice, she is driven by instinct. The gazelle is not simply a passive victim, its body has its own mechanisms to cope with such a traumatic event. The answer to whether it feels pain is not a simple yes or no. It is a complex interplay of neurology, chemistry, and the ancient unwritten laws of the wild. This single, dramatic event on the Savannah opens a window into the much larger story of animal consciousness and suffering. Nature operates on a delicate and often brutal balance. The existence of predators is not an accident or a flaw in the system. It is a fundamental necessity. Predators play a crucial role in maintaining the health and stability of ecosystems all over the world. They help to control the populations of other animals, preventing them from becoming too numerous and overwhelming their environment. A world without predators would quickly become unbalanced. Herbivore populations would explode, leading to overgrazing. This would strip the land of its vegetation, causing widespread starvation and the collapse of the entire ecosystem. The predator's hunt, as harsh as it seems, is a vital service. For the prey, life is a constant state of vigilance. Every rustle in the grass, every shadow that passes overhead could signal danger. This constant threat has shaped their evolution. Prey animals have developed remarkable adaptations to survive. Some, like the gazelle, have evolved incredible speed and agility to outrun their pursuers. Others have developed camouflage to blend in with their surroundings, making them nearly invisible to a predator's eye. Some animals have even evolved chemical defenses, such as venom or foul-tasting secretions, to deter an attack. The relationship between predator and prey is an evolutionary arms race, with each side constantly developing new strategies to gain an advantage. This intricate dance of life and death ensures that only the fittest individuals survive and reproduce. A lioness will typically target the weakest or slowest animal in a herd, such as the very young, the old, or the sick. By doing so, she inadvertently strengthens the prey species as a whole. the stronger, healthier gazelles are more likely to escape and pass on their superior genes to the next generation. This process of natural selection, driven by the predator-prey dynamic, is one of the main engines of evolution. It is a system that, while seemingly cruel to the individual, is essential for the long-term health and resilience of the species. So, while the act of one animal eating another may seem like a simple act of violence, it is part of a much larger, more complex system. It is a system that has been refined over millions of years to maintain balance and drive evolutionary change. The predator is not evil, and the prey is not a tragic victim in a grand play. They are both participants in the cycle of life, each playing a role that has been assigned to them by the unwritten rules of nature. The pain and fear experienced in these moments are real, but they are also an integral part of this vast, interconnected web of existence that sustains life on our planet. To understand if an animal feels pain when it is being eaten, we must first look at the science of how pain is perceived. At its core, pain is a message sent through the nervous system. Specialized nerve endings, called nociceptors, are designed to detect potential or actual tissue damage. When you touch a hot stove, for example, these nociceptors send an urgent electrical signal up your spinal cord to your brain. The brain then processes this signal and interprets it as the sensation we call pain. This system is not unique to humans. In fact, it is a very ancient system, found in a vast array of animals, from mammals and birds to reptiles and fish. The biological structures required to feel pain are remarkably consistent across the animal kingdom. Vertebrates, including the gazelle and the lioness, possess a central nervous system with a brain and a spinal cord, very similar to our own. They have the same types of nociceptors spread throughout their bodies, ready to detect injury. When a predator's teeth sink into the flesh of its prey, these nociceptors fire off a barrage of signals, alerting the brain to the severe damage being inflicted. The presence of these fundamental neurological pathways is strong evidence that these animals are capable of experiencing pain in a way that is biologically comparable to our own experience. Let's consider specific examples. A gazelle, as a mammal, has a highly developed brain, including a cerebral cortex, the part of the brain associated with higher level processing and conscious awareness. When it is attacked, the signals of tissue damage travel to its brain, which would undoubtedly register these signals as an intensely negative and painful experience. Even animals we might consider less complex, like snakes, have well-developed nervous systems. A mouse caught by a snake will struggle violently, a clear behavioral response to the trauma and pain of the attack. Its body is telling its brain that it is in mortal danger and experiencing severe physical harm. The evidence extends even further into the world of invertebrates. While their nervous systems are structured differently, many insects, for instance, show clear avoidance behaviors in response to harmful stimuli. A praying mantis might begin to eat a bee while it is still alive. The bee will sting repeatedly and struggle to escape, actions that are difficult to explain without acknowledging some form of negative sensory experience, or what we would call pain. The scientific consensus is clear. The biological machinery for detecting and reacting to tissue damage is widespread. This strongly suggests that the capacity to feel pain is not an exclusively human trait, but a fundamental aspect of animal life. When an animal is attacked, its body initiates a powerful and immediate chemical response. This is not just about registering pain, it is about survival. The moment the chase begins, the gazelle's adrenal glands flood its system with adrenaline. This hormone is part of the fight or flight response. It dramatically increases the heart rate, pumping more oxygenated blood to the muscles. It sharpens the senses and provides a surge of energy, pushing the body to its absolute physical limits in a desperate attempt to escape. This initial rush of adrenaline is so overwhelming that it can temporarily overshadow the sensation of pain, focusing all the animal's resources on one single goal: getting away. If the predator is successful and the attack continues, The brain releases another set of powerful chemicals, endorphins. These are the body's natural painkillers, functioning in a way that is very similar to opioid drugs like morphine. Endorphins bind to the same receptors in the brain, effectively blocking the transmission of pain signals. This neurochemical response can induce a state of shock, a kind of mental and physical numbness. For the prey animal in the jaws of a predator, this endorphin rush could mean that the intensity of the pain is significantly dulled. It is nature's own form of anesthesia, a merciful mechanism in the face of an inescapable and traumatic end. This complex chemical cocktail of adrenaline and endorphins helps explain some of the behaviors we observe in the wild. An animal that has been severely injured may sometimes appear surprisingly calm, or may continue to struggle long after we would expect it to be incapacitated by pain. This is not because it doesn't feel pain, but because its brain chemistry is actively working to manage that pain and keep the body functioning for as long as possible. The primary purpose of this system is survival. Even a few extra seconds of struggle could, in some circumstances, provide an opportunity for escape, no matter how slim the chance might be. Comparing this to human experience can be illuminating. People who have survived severe accidents, such as a car crash or a serious fall, often report not feeling any pain at the moment of impact. They describe being in a state of shock, aware of what was happening, but strangely detached from the physical trauma. This is the human equivalent of the endorphin rush experienced by an animal under attack. It is a shared biological heritage, a survival mechanism that kicks in during moments of extreme physical distress. So, while the gazelle is undoubtedly experiencing terror and physical trauma, its brain is also doing everything it can to shield it from the full brunt of the pain. The way an animal dies in the wild varies enormously, and this has a profound impact on the amount of suffering it endures. Some predators are incredibly efficient, delivering a death that is almost instantaneous. A powerful constrictor snake, for example, kills its prey through suffocation. It wraps its body around the victim, and with each exhalation of the prey, the snake tightens its grip. This cuts off blood flow to the brain and stops the heart, leading to a very rapid loss of consciousness. Similarly, a large cat like a leopard will often kill its prey with a single well-aimed bite to the back of the neck, severing the spinal cord and causing immediate death. In these cases, the period of suffering is mercifully short. However, many deaths in nature are not so swift. When a pack of wild dogs or hyenas brings down a large animal like a wildebeest, the process can be prolonged and gruesome. These predators often begin to eat their prey while it is still alive, disemboweling it and causing massive trauma. The animal may remain conscious for several minutes, fully aware of what is happening to it. The initial shock and rush of endorphins can only do so much to dull the agony of such an ordeal. This is a slow, terrifying death, and it is a stark reminder of the brutal reality of the natural world. The efficiency of the kill often depends on the size and strategy of the predator relative to its prey. The world of insects and parasites offers some of the most disturbing examples of slow deaths. The parasitic wasp is a master of this grim art. It will find a host such as a caterpillar and inject its eggs inside it. The wasp larva then hatches and begins to eat the caterpillar from the inside out. It instinctively avoids consuming the vital organs until the very end, keeping its host alive for as long as possible to ensure a fresh food source. The caterpillar is eaten alive from within over a period of days or even weeks. It is a chillingly effective survival strategy for the wasp, but for the caterpillar, it represents a prolonged and inescapable torment. These varied scenarios show that there is no single answer to the question of animal suffering in the wild. An animal's final moments can range from a quick, almost painless end to a protracted and horrifying ordeal. The concept of shock plays a critical role here. In cases of massive and sudden injury, an animal might enter a state of physiological shock, where the circulatory system begins to fail, leading to a rapid loss of consciousness. This can sometimes provide a small mercy in a violent encounter. But in cases where the death is slow and methodical, the animal is likely to experience significant pain and terror before its life finally ends. The pain and suffering that animals experience in the wild are part of a natural system that has existed for millions of years, long before humans came to dominate the planet. The lioness hunting the gazelle is not making a moral choice. She is acting on pure instinct, driven by the need to feed herself and her young. In nature, there is no concept of humane or inhumane. The only goal is survival. The suffering of an individual animal, while tragic, serves a larger purpose within the ecosystem. It fuels the cycle of life, ensures the health of populations, and drives evolution. This is what we might call natural cruelty, a form of suffering that is an unavoidable consequence of the laws of nature. Our human world, however, operates under a different set of rules. We have developed a sense of ethics and a capacity for compassion that leads us to question the suffering of other beings. This is particularly relevant when we consider the animals we raise for food. Unlike the lioness, we are capable of making choices about how we treat the animals under our care. We have the ability to minimize their pain and fear. The development of humane slaughter practices in farming is a direct result of this ethical consideration. These methods are designed to render an animal unconscious before it is killed, ensuring that it does not experience the terror and pain of its final moments. This creates a clear distinction between suffering in the wild and suffering caused by humans. While we may feel sorrow for the gazelle, we do not hold the lioness morally responsible for its actions. She is simply playing her part in the natural order. However, we do hold ourselves responsible for the welfare of the animals we control. When a farm animal suffers due to neglect, or when slaughter methods are inhumane, we recognize this as a moral failure. We have the knowledge and the technology to prevent such suffering, and our conscience tells us that we have a duty to do so. Our relationship with animals is fundamentally different from the relationship between a predator and its prey. Reflecting on this topic leaves us in a complex position. We can appreciate the raw, impartial beauty of the natural world, while also acknowledging the immense suffering that is an inherent part of it. At the same time, we must recognize our own unique responsibility. The pain an animal feels is real, whether it comes from the teeth of a predator or from human hands. While we cannot change the fundamental nature of the wild, we can and should strive to be better stewards in our own domain. Understanding that animals feel pain compels us to act with greater compassion, to challenge cruelty where we find it, and to ensure that the suffering we cause is minimized as much as possible.